I'll give you your hard time expense. Yeah. It comes back up, and that's so it took me like an hour and a half to sort through those objects, figuring out what words would work with each one. They're like objects nested within arrays nested within objects.
No, I have to do database. I have to promise them the database as well.
Right, yeah, the problem has to be.
We didn't. That's one thing. So I didn't know yourself. You don't have to do all of the back end functions.
Right.
So
So your user search is on
It's the process that are slice.
Okay, so that's what I was gonna have to look at. So it's just dot slice 3 dot.
Right, which basically cuts out the first three.
Show everything like they have to use to it, so yeah, it's pretty durable. But I went to Lowe's
Right.
on my Amazon credit card. So
And then
they
let's join for
With space. Space between the yeah, so then so you do console log product and then you show it just like that space. And then depending on your answer, you either allow them to buy.
Right now I just have a string.
The quantity you have, so it's 10, you buy 2.
So it'd be process start RB.
And then
But it just slice 3.
let's see. If you're like, it goes through, then it's just like adding up to do it right now. So let's ask
So if I have command here,
right there would be.
Yeah, your command should be.
Oh,
So, what did you do for
All right. Good evening. So, how was Saturday?
What's lurching Adam's family thing?
Yeah. Yes.
I noticed like a teaching style difference between you guys.
Okay.
He didn't live code things in front of us.
Okay.
All of them, he kind of just showed.
Okay.
Like, I don't know if he had it like pre-downloaded or had it already. But
Yeah, there's, at least for me, I can't speak for the class. There's a lot
Mhm.
of stuff that we just kind of.
Less what?
I only speak for me, but there's a lot of things that he showed. Didn't really explain.
I think it's because
Okay. Okay.
so this is the same answer, but when you have it down here,
I guess it's just a different teaching style. Maybe I've spoiled you guys too much, so I should be like copy pasting stuff. No, I'm just kidding. Now it's a Node.js web service kind of difficult topic anyway. But the downside, well, not downside. The problem with that topic is it's extremely important, and today a lot of companies are moving towards that, and it's a really important toolkit. And we'll look at some today also, and we'll try to understand it better. We'll walk through it and try to see how better we can understand it. And it requires a lot of focus. So I would again stress. So I'll lay out how today's class is going to go. So today we are going to look at something called Express. Well, I'll go through what Express is. We will build an app. I'll build an app starting from scratch, and it will go all the way up. We'll have a backend for it, all right, in Node.js using Express. Towards then, we'll have a front end for it, all right, and then we will deploy our app also, all right. We'll look at deploying that app on Heroku. We'll see what Heroku is in the last 30 minutes, all right. So this is how today's class will go, and today will be a lot of hand holding. So I'll be in today's complete class, the project that we are going to build. I will be doing that project, and you guys, will follow along, write code as I'm typing in. I'll explain everything how it goes, and you guys will see how we take the project from ground up and towards the end where we deploy our app. Okay. The expectation is in the next class, you guys would be building a similar application from ground up. In that class, I will not be, I'll be taking a back seat. So today, please concentrate, focus on see how the elements come together. All right. And then we'll go from there. Okay. All right. So again, a little bit on Saturday, you guys saw a different side of Node.js, and that's the more popular side, and that's how usually that's how it goes. So that's also important as a full stack developer. We've been working on a lot of front end, HTML, CSS, then we saw JavaScript, right? So Node.js is kind of like the back end. All right. You saw on Saturday, and today we are going to see how to build APIs. All right, very, very important. For now, we have seen how to use those APIs. All right, we see some third-party APIs. We downloaded those. You guys did a project, and you guys use those APIs. Today, we are going to build our own API, and then we are going to use it. All right. So at this point, you guys know how to use an API, right? How do I use an API? Let's suppose I went to that API portal. I can't remember the name. What was it? And I found an API that I like. How would I use that? Read the documentation. All right. I read the documentation now, and I kind of get a fair idea what the documentation is. Now I'm on my code. Just a high level. What are the languages that I'm using to call that API? JavaScript, yeah, obviously I'm using JavaScript, and it's not exactly JavaScript. What else? JavaScript, huh? Ajax, yes. What is it part of? It's not part of. Well, the concept is still part of JavaScript. jQuery, right? Exactly. If you guys have time, look up how to make the same Ajax call in JavaScript, and then what we saw in jQuery, you will see extra 10 lines that you need in JavaScript, but it serves the same purpose. All right, so we use jQuery to make an Ajax call, right? And that's exactly what we are going to do today. We are going to build our API and then use that API, all right? So what is this Express? Let's, best way is, just Google Express JS and look at the site. So from the heading, when I Google, the first thing comes up, Express.js is a web application framework, right? That is exactly what Express is, right? Express is a framework that's built on Node.js, all right? And what it is used for is, let me see if I can, building our web applications, all right? You can use Express to create a web server, a full-fledged web server that listens for connections, that listens for your API calls, and then process it, right? Express.js is basically your backend, all right? Your front end is jQuery, HTML, CSS. Express is going to be a backend. Now, the relationship between Express and Node.js is, again, that's me, similar to like what jQuery is to JavaScript, all right? What Bootstrap is to CSS. Okay. Similarly, Express.js is kind of similar relationship with Node.js. So you saw how to create a web server in purely Node.js on Saturday. Today we are going to see how we do the same thing in Express. Kind of makes our life a little bit easier. And out in the industry, Node.js and Express, they go hand in hand like this. Like, I haven't seen any code where Node.js web server was created and there wasn't Express, right? It's like a mandatory part of Node.js, yes.
We barely touched on the Postman app.
Right.
Is that a key part of this as well?
We'll go through Postman too, but Postman is it's not exactly part of it, but it's Postman is more like a tool.
Gotcha.
There are many tools like Postman. We use Postman. I use Postman because it's kind of more popular, but there are like 10, 15, 20 other tools. What Postman helps us is to test our APIs, like make those API calls, and we'll see how we are going to use Postman also. All right, so that's what Express basically is. All right. If a little bit confusing, we'll see some coding, and you guys will, I hope, will have a better understanding how Express is and how it works. All right. Let's see what else. So we are going to be building APIs, and you guys know I build APIs a lot in my day job also, and there are some standards to building those APIs. If you guys Google Microsoft REST API, they have come up with a really nice document that I follow and a lot of other people also. They have mentioned what are the kind of naming standards, and that's what today I'm going to show you guys. And the expectation is you guys take that to heart and follow their standards. Do not be surprised if an interview somebody asks you, hey, suppose you have to write an API, how would you begin, how would you name? I have been asked this question, and if you're following this, the expectation is that you guys know what the standards are, and that's how you create an API. All right, starts with a name, and then whatever the coding part is, that's separate, but the first is you guys know the standards. How do you create those APIs? How do you name those APIs? That's very important too. All right, so today I'm going to show you what are some of the standards. We are going to follow those standards. Some of the part of creating the Express app today, it's kind of we have already done some of this stuff, so at some point I'll be a little fast about those. But again, if it's too fast, please raise your hand. I'm going to pause it. But some of the stuff that my expectation is like GitHub, creating a project in GitHub, cloning it, some of the HTML kind of stuff. All right, so I'm going to kind of breeze through those quickly. What else? Let's see. There was one more thing about the application. All right, let's see. Okay, yeah, and this application is already on GitLab. You guys can see the complete code and everything. It goes with the name of Star Wars. All right, Star Wars, and we're going to add characters. I'll show you what it looks like. I'm gonna change it a little bit, and I'm going to make a Avengers app. Again, this is not there. It's not part of it. It's the same app. I'm just changing the names. All right, like Avengers better. Right. So, any questions before we begin? All right. I think it's going to be a good class. So we do a lot of coding, and try as your best to follow. If you want to take notes, it's fine. If you want to code also, it's perfectly fine. All right. Okay. Let us begin. So before beginning, those DIY projects, they first post a picture of the completed project, and then they go into it. So this is the final product that we are aiming for. Okay. So in this app, it's simple. You add characters, you see some characters. Right now one character has been added. I can go, if I click this, it shows me all the characters that are part of my database. All right. Similarly, I can also add a new character. Let's say I add a character here. Let's see if this works. Okay. And just add it. Okay. That's the main function of this. Is what we are going to write. Yeah. The one thing over here, it says database and all that stuff. But this is not a actual database. We are going to fake it. There's no MySQL right now. Right now is just like a JSON format in our code. So this is what I call is an in-memory database. I think if I refresh, it goes away unless this app has some database. R won't. Let's see. Oh, it still has it. Okay, looks like this one has a permanent database. But the one that we are going to be writing would be in memory. It will show up over here, but as soon as you refresh, it's kind of go away. Oh, actually, it won't go away. It will go away if I close this and reopen it or restart my server. Okay, we'll see what I mean. I'll show you the code, and you guys will understand what I mean. So this is the app. Let's see. You can search characters also. Okay, and it will show up the character. All right, we've done something similar, but this time our APIs are owned by us, and this is going to be a little bit more dynamic. Okay, in the end, we are going to go ahead and deploy our app. Instead of GitHub, we are going to deploy in Heroku. We'll see. Hopefully, everybody signed up or signed in for Heroku. If not, please go ahead and do that. At least, if not for today's class, next class for sure you will need it. All right. All right, then let's go ahead and start our app. Okay, so right now I don't have anything. What I'm going to start is with GitHub. I'm going to create a. You can do it this towards the end, but I'm going to deploy my app, so that's why I'm going to start with GitHub, because when I deploy my app, it's going to be from GitHub. So I'm going to start from the beginning and just create a repository. I'm going to call it Avengers. Okay. Is of Avengers. Okay, this is public. Yes.
So the repository creation is this very important to the assignment. Usually you don't make a repository.
Yeah, so the reason I'm saying, because I'm going to start from the top and going to take this whole app until it is like production deployed. And since for deployment, we need GitHub, that's why I'm starting with GitHub. Yeah, so I want to show you guys how to deploy it on Heroku. Since this is going to be a Node.js, conveniently GitHub does have a git ignore, very important, because we don't want our node modules and all the random stuff going up in our repository. So I'm going to do this license. I'm going to skip the license. All right, you know what? Just for fun, let's see. I'm going to put this. I'm going to go ahead and create my repository. All right, all good. I'm going to clone this. Let's see if I can do it from here. Okay, I'm going to say git clone, and this should, okay, and let's see. Oops. Okay, so I'm in my GitHub repo. I'm going to go ahead and open this. My Avengers repo should have a license and a README file. Okay, did it open too? Nope. Okay. All right, this is all good. The next thing I'm going to start is I want to create a package.json file, right? Because I'm going to add some modules over there. So how do I add my package.json without actually creating one?
Node, or you have to call it terminal.
Okay.
And then node in it.
Node init, npm init. Oh, close.
Oh,
npm init, yeah. So let's go ahead and do a npm init. All right. Okay, package name Avengers. I'll just keep the same one. Version same. Description characters. My entry point. Let's see. What's going to be my entry point? It's going to be kind of different entry point. So let's keep this as because I don't have the file created. I'll create it and then come back to it. Keep this. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, we'll see. So entry point, if you guys remember, when I deploy my code to any hosting service and looks at the package.json, that's the whatever the beginning point is or the entry point is, that's the file that's going to be starting point for that app. Okay, for now it says index.html, it's fine. I'm going to change it because that's not my entry point right now. All right, for Node.js, it's a JavaScript file, and that's what I want as entry point. We'll see in the package.json once it's done. All right, my name. License is fine. Is this okay? Yes. All right. So I have my package.json file created. Let's go ahead and click this. Click this. And this is all good. Okay, nothing new over here. I did a npm init. I created it automatically created my package.json file. Okay. Let's go ahead and look at my first file. So I'm going to create a Node.js application because that's what I selected in GitHub also, right? So for the first thing is I need a JS file. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and create my JS file. I'm going to name it server.js. You can name it anything. What server.js tells me is that I'm going to be writing my backend code. All right, my server.js, and that's going to be my Node.js server. All right, but you can name it. You will see a lot of the time people name it app.js. What else have I seen? Main.js also sometimes. Server.js is kind of more common, but you can name it anything you want. All right. Okay. So the first thing in our when we create our Node.js application, we do the require and we use modules in it. All right. So since we're using Express, it's going to be very similar. So I'm going to say var express, all right, is equal to require and then my express module. All right. Same thing, nothing new. We've seen the HTTP module. What else have we seen? File stream, FS module. All right. What else? You guys are, we see MySQL. You guys are using the Spotify one. All right. So what's the next thing that I need to do if I'm using require to make sure this code is successful? Install it. Yeah. So I need to install this. Awesome. I need to install Express. Excellent. All right. So I need to install Express, but I also need to make sure that my package.json also has an Express file, because once I upload my code, I want somebody else to download it and just do a npm install and it installs everything. All right. So for that, what should I do?
Install Express.
Okay. And this will install Express, but it won't add it to my package.json file. Guys, remember it was save. No, you have to tell it to, once you install it, you go ahead and add it to my package.json file. So ---- save was a command. So this will, this was like a week ago. And this will go ahead and add this dependency in my package.json file also. Okay. What is it?
I didn't do the same thing. Put it in there.
It's in there?
Yeah.
Okay.
I did the same thing.
You did the same thing, it still makes it? All right.
I haven't seen that -- save part.
That save part. Okay. So we let me see. All right, there it is. Okay. Yeah, it doesn't work without -save too. All right, that's something new. All right, so without -save also it works. Yes.
I was just curious what the difference was between the package /log and the package. Because there's those two
Oh yeah.
Or, I mean, they look similar.
Yeah, it just has a lot more. Let's see. Does anybody know the difference? Package.
This needs to be created if you're using npm here. It does package.json block, and if you're using yarn, it does a yarn block. I'm really not sure what it does. If you ever see one of those and yarn, you've done something wrong.
Okay, looks like it's every time you do a npm, or as Will is saying, every time you do a npm, looks like it automatically generates and describes a lot more information about it. For any operations where npm modifies either the node modules tree or the package JSON file. Okay, every time there's an addition to the package JSON file, seems like the package log file is generated. Okay, but you can ignore this one. I don't think so. It is going to break anything.
Don't delete it.
Yeah. Okay. The second thing, and now we already have it. This thing, right? What does the caret mean over here? You guys remember? Newest version. Yeah. So right now, what it says is install 4.16.4 or anything that is newer than that. Right. So let's suppose I build my app, everything production released. Somebody downloads this newcomer. There's a Express 5.0.0 version, right? What will happen is they will have the newer version, okay? Which may or may not work. The problem with this is we have tested our application on a certain version and we want to make sure that we ship it with this version. Even forget about somebody using it. If I deploy this app on the cloud, on a hosting service, what the hosting service does is it runs the npm commands. You don't ship the node modules with it, right? Because they don't exist anywhere. What the hosting service does is it goes ahead and runs the package JSON file and then installs all the dependencies. So what the hosting service will do is it will get the latest version and then it will install that, and that might break our code, right? What this version is called semantic versioning. This is just something extra, and this is how it works. The last digit means bug fix or something that they found in my code, and I'm updating my code. So the last one tells me if you see 4.16.5, this means that there was a bug in the code that was fixed. All right, that's the last digit. It's for bug fixes or some minor fixes. Right? It's not supposed to break my code, or it's not going to change anything functionality wise. All right. The middle version means that there was a new feature that was added. Again, it shouldn't break my code, whoever is using it. So next time if I see 4.17.0, this means, there were some new features added, maybe routing features or something was improved. Right? It wasn't a break fix. It wasn't a defect or a debug. It was just a new feature was added. Okay. The first one, very, very important. That's the main version number. And if the version number changes, this means it's called a breaking fix or breaking version. This means that if this number changes, it might break your application. So if the first one changes, this means I have revamped my application. I have made some big changes to it, and there's a possibility it's going to break somebody who's using it. All right. So this is the number that we need to keep an eye on. If this changes to 5.0.0, then please expect, it's called a breaking change. It will break your API, or they might have some of the functions that they have over here, they might have taken it out. They don't exist anymore. There was some new features added. They have changed the existing code. So that's what the first version means. All right, this is called semantic versioning, and if you see this versioning, it's kind of universal. Everybody follows the same thing, so you can be sure the first one changes. This they are trying to indicate that it's a breaking change. All right. So be careful every time there's a caret. I would suggest don't put that. All right. Now the thing is, you can remove it over here, save your package.json file. Everything would be good. There's another way to do it. Let me show you guys that too. So I don't have this. So what I can do is, let me go here. Let's see if I can delete this. Okay. If I do this and say minus save, I think it's minus save exact. Let's see if this works. Okay, so if you do this minus save and then minus save dash exact, this is going to remove the caret and install the version that you are working on. Okay, I think you can mention the exact version also, but this got the latest version and it's going to remove the caret, or you can remove the caret yourself. Just something that every time you're installing a package, make sure you do a minus save exact. It's kind of helpful so that you guys don't forget that there's a caret over there. And I faced this issue. I was working on Angular and I had a caret, and we rolled it out to production, and guess what? The code broke and I couldn't figure it out. I was like, what the heck is going on? On my local, I had the previous version. They changed the for loop or something, and it would give all kind of errors. Later on, I realized, because of the caret was getting the new version, as as expected. But that was a version that was kind of breaking our code. So we had to go back, change it, remove the caret. That's how I learned what the value of caret was. I was like, I don't know what this is. I don't know why they put it over there. That's probably doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So be careful. Everything, Google everything if you see. Try to find out what it does. Okay. All right. So now we have Express. Let's run our code and see if there's any error. If I do node server, shouldn't throw any error, shouldn't do anything. Okay, that's good. So this means my package is installed, everything is good. I can go ahead and start using it. All right. Let's go back to our Express. Let's look at some API reference. So we are on 4.x, right? So this is a really good documentation, and whatever I'm going to show you guys today, everything is mentioned over here. I don't think it's very complicated or anything. Do take a look at this. So it looks like it's saying we already did the first line, and the next it is saying that we kind of declare our another variable. It's kind of, we saw constructor, right? Kind of similar to that. We are calling a constructor, and this will give you an object for Express. It's the same concept over here. Okay, so we'll go ahead and put in the second line. I will say let app, you can call it anything, is equal to Express. Okay, constructor Express, get a variable. All right, now we can go ahead and start using Express. So what Express, we are going to use Express to create a Node.js server. All right, you guys saw on Saturday when you start a Node.js server, it runs on a port. All right, so port is necessary. All right, so let's go ahead and define our port. You know what, I'm going to use good practice. I'm going to do const port. I'm going to use 3000. You can use anything starting from 80. All right, 80 and above, you can use it. You can do 2000, 2010, doesn't matter. But I'm using port 3000. It's kind of interesting. Anybody did iOS programming here? Kind of looked into it. All right. Did no? Interesting. I'm taking a. It's kind of similar to boot camp. I want to learn iOS programming. I'm doing it. They also have var and let keyword, but it does not mean what var and let is over here. Let over there is equivalent to a const keyword, but it's Apple, so nobody says anything about it. Yeah.
Are you doing that in straight Swift or React Native?
Swift. I'm doing the nano degree program. Yeah. So that's what I learned today, and they have a var keyword also, but it's much nicer var than the JavaScript var over here. They have strict, strong typing and all that kind of stuff, but they use the var keyword. But that was interesting. The let over there is actually const. Yeah. So coming back over here, I declared a port number. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do is, let's see. Let's look at the documentation. Since we declared an app, let's see what they're saying. Okay. So you see over here, it says app.get, right, and then app.listen. So let's try to understand what app.get means. Right. So there's a concept for routing. What routing means is that when your website is working, how do you want it to work? Okay. When I type in my URL and when I hit enter, what page should it go to? And that's what the route means. Okay. So it's like I'm over here. I want to go over here, right? This would be my route, and this is what express routing is all about. So in this example, when it says slash, this means the root of my website, right? If my website is Google slash and there's nothing, this means this is the starting point of any app of my website. So over here, what Express is saying that, whenever somebody comes to the starting point of my app, do this. All right. And it's always going to be a get. Get means that, get me, whenever somebody comes to this is what I have to do. All right. We'll see what, as I type it out, we'll see what each one of them means. Okay. So let's suppose this is the code that we need to type. So I say app.get. All right. Let me close this and then we'll come back. So the first argument or the parameter is your route. All right. And if you want to just say anybody who comes to the root of my website or the main of my website, this is what I want to do. And your root of your website is always going to be slash. Okay. So anybody who types my website over here is going to be Avengers. Let's suppose say www.avengers.com. All right. This is the route that's going to get hit. That's my main website. All right. When you guys did your portfolio in the week first, you guys remember we created some routes called view, contact, right? What was it? www something slash view, then www something slash contact. So those are all routes. So we had a slash, then we had view, I think .html, then there was a contact, contacts.html, right? These are all called routes. That every time my website comes over here, there's some action I need to do. I need to show a page that shows my profile or something. Every time somebody comes over here, I want to show my contact information. All right. So this is what we are doing over here. And this is our server handles it. Now we are writing our own server. So we are in command of that anytime somebody comes to this is what I want to do. Okay. We are taking complete control of our website. Okay. The second argument is an anonymous function. I need to remove all this stuff. And this is the action. So somebody who comes to my website, this is what I want to do. All right, anything that goes inside is what I want. What I want my website to do. Okay. Now this anonymous function takes in two parameters. One is called request, and the other is called response. I'm going to change the variable names later on. So this anonymous function gets two parameters, request and response. What does the request has? Any guesses? What would a request contain?
What the person's asking for.
Exactly, what the person is asking for, what the person is requesting. All right, whatever the person is requesting comes, everything is inside this variable. All right, response,
What you're sending to the client.
what you are sending, exactly. What is my response? When somebody sends this request, what am I going to respond with? That's what response is. All right. Generally, you will see a lot of programmers writing this as rec and res. Same thing. You guys can put the whole name if that makes it easier. Otherwise, rec and res. I don't like this name, but that's the convention. Maybe it's the JavaScript programmers. I don't know, but that's how it is. So it's kind of, you know, people have grown to that. So we'll follow the same thing. All right. So my request is coming in, but I don't really care about the request right now. Right. I'll focus on the response. That when somebody comes over here, what do I want to respond to them? Right. So let's go back to our Express documentation, and we are more interested in the response. So this is closed now. Okay. So I'm going to go over here to response. All right. So examples, you can see that what they're doing is also something similar. That, you know, there's an app.get. Forget about the route right now. In this, I'm sending something. All right. So what do I have to do? I have to create a res.send function. Well, not create. I have to call it. So my res has a function called send. Okay. And then I can send anything over here. All right. Right now, let's do a simple string. So I'll say welcome to Avengers page. Okay. So this is what I'm saying is anybody who comes to my website on the main page, this is what I want to send them. Right? This is what they're going to see. Again, there's no HTML right now involved. Our application is going to evolve, and we're going to see how to do that. Right now, I just want a simple string that I want them to send. Okay. Now my website is still not ready because my server is not complete. All right. This is a server, right? It has to do, what does it has to do? It has to listen for incoming connections. All right. That's what the server does. So whenever I have a web page, this is my web page, and anything that I type in, if you go back to week 1, what were some of the contexts? Some of the concepts were, if I have a web page here, www, right? As soon as I hit enter, the request goes to a server. Okay? So there's a box, there's a server somewhere that is constantly listening to this request. All right? And in this case, the box, we own that box right now, right? So we need to listen for that request. Okay, so how do I listen to that request in Express? Let's go back to application. Let's see, listen. This is how I listen in Express. All right. So 3 things very important. First, require Express, then create a port, create an object using the Express constructor, right, and then call the listen method. Now listen method over here has a port number, right, and few more things, and then also a callback function. All right. Again, similar to any other callback function, listen is saying that, once I start successfully, once it's running, if there's any actions you want me to perform, I'm going to perform that in the callback function, right? But these are all optional. The only thing required is a port number. So we'll go and give it a, even you don't even need a port number. I think if you don't give a port number, it starts at 0. You don't want that. So we'll just give it a port number for now. Okay, so I'll say app.listen. Okay, and this is my function. Over here, I'm going to give it a port number. I declared a constant on the top, and that should do it. I'm going to use the callback function just because I can do a console log to make sure that it actually started successfully. I can see some message. It will make me feel a little better. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to say log Avengers server listening on port. Oh, that's a nice one. They're assembling on a port. Yes. Let's go ahead and format this document. Okay. So now my server is ready to start and listen for some incoming connections. Let's go ahead and start and see if there's any errors. Oh, there is an error. Let's go back and figure out what this is. In use. What was that? No, it's saying the port number that I'm using is already, somebody is listening on that port. Yeah. What was that? What was the last one? Did he say something?
I was saying that NSA was.
Oh, yeah. NSA listening on port. Yes, this should work. What probably happened is that I was trying it last night, so I created some apps on port 3000, and that's why it's saying that it's still working. So let's see if I can change the port number and this should fix it. But I don't want to do it. I want to try a difficult route. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to Google and find out the exact statement and find out the port number. So don't ask me what this is. Apparently Google says if you type this in, it's going to tell you if somebody is there listening on this port. The next thing I can do is I can try to see if I can kill this. Now, which one of this is a process ID? Is it 26094? Let's see. Okay. So now this should work. Yeah, it's working. Okay. So you could change the port number, but I didn't want to. So went ahead, Googled, find out how to find who's using my port number, and then I went ahead and killed that port. Okay? Yeah, killed it. So I was kind of curious if NSA is really listening. I'm just kidding. They probably are, so I can do it. They're probably on a different port number anyway. Yeah.
This is mine now.
Yeah, they probably have a secret port that nobody can access anyway. So, all right. So now my server is up and running. Looks all good. Now let's go ahead and access this? So there are a couple of ways. Easiest could be I could just do a. So where is this server hosted right now? Google. Wrong. What was it? Local. Okay. I thought you said Google. I was like, I wish. Yeah. So it's on localhost 3000. So let's go ahead and there it is. So it says welcome to Avengers page. So what did I say? I said that anybody who comes to my main website, which is www something. Right now my main website is localhost 3000. Right? Anybody who comes to this website, this is what I want them to see. Right? I can add HTML and blah blah blah, and we'll see that later on. But right now, simple. I have tested. I have created an Express server. Okay, and I have tested that it's running. I'm ready to listen to requests. Okay, you probably can't see what it says. It says welcome to Avengers page.
So this is like an alternative, because on Saturday, I believe
You did HTTP?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I think. Express is what jQuery is to JavaScript or CSS or Bootstrap.
It's just an alternative.
Right, it's just an alternative, yeah.
Better?
It's better, it's more powerful, it comes with a lot more functionality, and right now almost everybody outside who has heard Express, they just use it. So yeah, whether it fits the use case or not, but everybody's using it. But it's good, and it comes with a lot of functionality. Takes a lot of boilerplate code from you guys, so that you don't have to worry about too many things. Kind of makes it easier, especially the routing part. They have kind of figured it out, so it's easier to make your APIs calls and everything without worrying about how it's going to work and what's going on. Alright. It's what? Yeah. If you installed it, had Hot Pockets over there. There's a Twitter and all that stuff, right? Do you guys look into it?
No.
No. Okay. Well, there's a article which said that kind of, I don't know if it's the advertisement thing, that when you install Express, it installs was it a library that installed that makes a call out? Yeah, that makes a call out and gets a Hot Pockets picture or something. Yeah, that's crazy. I hope they took it out, but as of right now, my Twitter page is posting that I like. We'll find it. Yeah. Okay. This other way is Postman. Okay. I use a Postman a lot. There are other tools, but this has kind of become more popular. What Postman is, when you create your APIs, you want to test them out, right? Web browser is not always a preferred way, so that's where Postman comes in. You can put in your APIs over here, and it will give you the result. Right now, we do not have any API, but if I do localhost 3000, I should still get my result back over here. Localhost. Okay, you see, welcome to Avengers page. So this is I'm going to be using Postman when we get to our APIs next, so that you guys will see a lot more data coming over here. Okay. So whoever is following, was everybody able to get to this point? Create Express server running? Okay. Yes.
I got a reference error. I was able to get the.
All right. So any questions so far? Okay. So on Saturday, did you guys create any APIs? You guys create any APIs on Saturday?
Yeah. Creative
Get in post? Okay. All right. So next step is to create some APIs over here. All right. Let me make sure. Let's see what APIs we are going to create. All right. See. All right. So the purpose of this code is going to be that I'm going. You guys saw the final product, right? Um, so I'm going to get some characters from my database. All right. All right. This is okay. This is important. How do you standardize? What's the naming convention? All right. So whenever you're creating your APIs, it's always going to be a plural noun. That's how you create. That's how you name your APIs. All right. In this, for example, in this Avengers code, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create characters, and then I'm going to get those characters. All right. So what am I doing? I'm creating characters, getting it. Again, no verb, plural noun. So I'm going to use my API and call it characters. Okay. Let's see what else do we have. Let's suppose I have CarMax website. All right. If I want to get information of cars, my API is going to be called cars. That's what I'm going. I'm not going to say get cars. I've seen this code. If I had to create, people would call their APIs get characters, add characters, delete characters. Not acceptable. You can do it, but don't do it. Right? This is not the standard way. If you answer this in your interview, this will be marked off. So this, you will run into code. People do use this convention, but this is not the standard. This is not acceptable. It will work. Yes, it will work. But the standard way is using more plural nouns, and we'll see how to differentiate between the add. People say, hey, how do I know this is getting or this is adding or deleting? How can I, by looking at this, how can I tell if it is adding, if it is getting, if it is deleting? There's way, and we'll see how we do that. All right. But always plural noun and one word if possible. All right. I don't like camel case if there are two words. This is my opinion. You can add a dash in between. First, try to make sure there's no two words, but if there is, you have to do it. I don't like the camel casing in this one. I haven't seen in the standards usually separated out. So maybe put a hyphen, but try to come up to a single word. All right. All right. So now how do I, okay, yeah. So now this is good. I know my standard. I'm going to call my APIs characters. I'm not going to do get, post, or anything, get, insert, delete. I'm going to call them. Okay. So my end result would be this. All right. Now before this, another standard is you mentioned the version number of your APIs. Very important. So I'm going to call this V1. Again, this is not going to stop you coding from anything. This is just the standard that I'm explaining. All right. And you will see industry-wide, this is what is followed. So it's kind of good to get into the habit. Now what V1 tells me is that this is my version 1 of my APIs. All right. Now let's suppose I go to next version. So I will say V2 characters. What the biggest advantage of this is that I'm not breaking anyway. So let's suppose my Avengers characters API got super popular, everybody's using it, they're all on V1. Then one night I came up with a brilliant idea. I'm saying, oh, I'm going to change this whole thing and it's going to do. So I'm going to put it as V2. So that my V1, whoever is using this, don't wake up in the morning and be like, oh, my whole website is broken because, I just changed the whole thing. All right. So with V2, what will happen is I will advertise, I will say, hey, I have a new API version 2, people start using it. So slowly people will start moving into this one. But whoever is using this one, their code won't break. It will start, so it will work. I have to make sure that this is maintained, nothing is down. This is how I can separate these two out. All right. So more like backward compatibility, right? Not like PS4. You buy PS3 game, it doesn't work anymore. So do this. All right. Another convention you will see is the keyword API. I'm going to use, usually I don't use it, but I'm going to use it in this one because our front end and our back end are kind of hosted on the same site. I want to kind of differentiate them. But what this tells me is that anything after that, these are my APIs, right? Backend APIs. It doesn't have anything to do with the front end, right? So you'll see API / version number and then plural noun, whatever the API is. Okay? So this is the route that I'm going to create. And a very good website, as I said, Google Microsoft REST API standards. They have a GitHub page, a lot of good guidelines when you are developing APIs as a, if you guys, let me open this. Go into more backend programming and you are creating more APIs. This is like the Bible of REST APIs. People follow their standards, kind of standardizes your APIs, and somebody is using it. They kind of know what to expect from those. Right, so this is a really good website with all the standards, and these are taken from here as well. Okay. All right, let's coming back. So I want to create a route called characters, right? So what I want to do is however many characters are in my database, I want to get all of them and show it to the user. All right. That's the first of HTTP methods. One is called get, post. Then we have delete, put. Little more unknowns are patch. There's options and all that stuff. Right now, today we are going to look at get and post. So what get does is get tells you that you are getting some information from the backend. All right. Post means you are inserting some information back in the backend. All right. Here's the interesting part. I can create all my requests as post. I can even create my get request as a post. I can do HTTP post and everything. Nothing is going to break. It will still work. But don't do that. All right. When I was working at Walmart one time, somehow security people got the idea that everything has to be done post. Get is, it's more prone to attacks or something. It doesn't happen. After a while, they were like, yeah, you know what, that's still okay. So what we were doing is if I wanted to get any information, I was using HTTP post. If I wanted to delete anything, I was using HTTP post. If I wanted to update anything, I was using HTTP post. Right? It kind of messes up the whole idea. The thing with this is, again, this is standards from HTTP, whoever the team is that is handling. But behind the scenes, how it works is the same part. Okay? Behind the scene is whatever code I'm writing for each one of them is up to me. I can create a post request and I can insert data into it. Nobody is going to stop me. Nothing happens. Nobody cares. Right? But somebody who's looking at my APIs will get the wrong impression how about if I do a delete and I'm inserting my into your database, right? That's a bad thing, right? They're like, well, this deletes it. But no, wait, I'm inserting data actually. I can do that. We had an idea to do a post and start deleting stuff. But yeah. It's probably breaking a lot of rules. But yeah, you can do anything in these APIs. Right? Nothing is going to stop, but we are going to be good citizens and we are going to follow what the standards are. Get means I'm getting information. Post means I'm inserting information. Delete means I'm actually deleting stuff. All right? Put is an update. A lot of people use post as an update also, but if you're following the standard, put is for anything you're updating. So put means that my row exists in my database. I'm going to run an update command on that. All right. Patch is also kind of update. It's kind of a little bit trickier, but let me explain it to you. So put and patch are both updates to your database. When you use put, I'm saying that I'm going to update the whole table, like every single column. When I do a put request, officially by standard, what should happen is I should be passing every column. Let's suppose my table has 10 columns and I do an update on my column, on my table, right? If I'm using put, I'm expected that I'm going to pass all my 10 columns and all 10 columns are going to be updated, whether or not they are required. Okay? Patch means that, I can update 1 or 2 columns. That's the difference. Again, that's the standard. That's how HTTP protocols are defined. But you won't see patch a lot. I've used it because I kind of like the standard. I was like, hey, I'm going to follow everything next time I make my APIs. So I kind of followed all 1, 2, 3, 4. So if there was a single update, I used patch. But those are the main ones. The first two are more common. Second, these are after that. You will kind of rarely see. A lot of people don't know what patch is, so it's possible that you won't see patch. Right, but that's what patch is. All right, so in this one, we are going to do get and post. Right, any questions on this one? All right, so we are going to do a get, and let's go ahead and create our route. So app.get, it's a function, so I'm going to stop here. And the next part is my route. Right, what was the first one? I did a slash and stopped over there. Now I'm creating my API. So I'm going to say slash API slash v1 slash characters. Okay, same thing, function. Come back to this. I'm going to do res and response. Oops. Request and response. Okay. Now, how am I going to create these APIs with just single name? How do I differentiate between them? So get API v1 characters means I'm going to look into my database and send a list of all the characters in my database. That's what slash characters mean. Okay. Now, the second request is going to be I want to get single character. I want to get one character from my database. I'm not interested in all the 10. I want to get one out. So my API is going to be same get API slash v1, same standards. Everything has to be the same thing. Characters slash character name or ID. I'm going to start with ID, but what I conceptually mean over here is something that differentiates one character from the another. Could be an ID, could be a name, whatever unique thing is. Make sure that whatever you pass in is unique. Okay. Again, characters without anything after that means I'm getting everything in my database. Characters with a unique ID means I'm getting one. Exactly one. This is going to be an array, right? Multiple list. This should return you only one. All right. This shouldn't return you an array. All right. Any questions on this? And this is the standard that we are going to follow, and this is how it is. All right. Now let's suppose I want to insert something. If I want to insert, again, my API name cannot change by this standard. So it's still going to be characters. I cannot change anything over here. But what is going to change is my request. It's going to become now post. post is inserting. All right. So this is how it will differentiate. If I do a post, same name, our code knows that this goes into inserting it into the database versus getting all the characters out. All right. Now in my post, since I'm inserting, I need to pass in what I need to insert, right? So we'll see how to pass in information. But the URL or API is going to look exactly like this. All right. Now if I want to delete something, how is my API going to look like? What would be the route for delete? Okay. Same thing. API slash v1 slash characters. What is that? Okay, and something over here, right? Delete. Yep. Delete. That's how it differentiates. Now, what am I missing? I want to delete. When I do a delete, I want to delete a single row from my database, right? Similar to get, I need to pass in an ID over here. So this ID would be the one that is be uniquely identified. I'm going to delete that row from my database. All right. If I want to update, exact same thing, just replace it with a put. All right. So let's go ahead and do the first one. So since I don't have a database, what I'm going to do is I'm going to fake my database over here. So I'm going to just create a simple JSON file over here. I will say let characters is equal to an array of characters. Okay, this array would be an object. It's kind of similar to a database. You get from the database columns and rows, but I'm going to spoof this and create an array of, let's suppose, 3 characters here. Okay. So you guys go ahead and start. If you're following, let's say the first one I'm going to call route name, and we'll see what this means. Okay, I'm going to call it Captain all lowercase. Name, I'm going to call it Captain America. Okay, and row age, put an age, force, some force, so strength. What was that? Oh, thank you. Okay, that's my first. I'm going to just copy paste this. Let's see. I'm going to have last one. Let's go ahead and add our last one here. And format this. Okay, so we format it. Oh, I'm writing code that is already formatted. Visual Studio doesn't even have to format it. Okay, so this is my basically a database. It's that's what I was calling. I was saying in-memory database. So this is what it. As long as my server is running, these values will always be there. If I restart it, then it's going to change and go back to its original state. But for now, for our case, I have defined this. We'll suppose we are getting these values from the database. We have this over here, so I'm going to just collapse this so that I don't have to worry about that anymore. Okay, now when I do a characters, what I have to do is I have to get the information. I have to look into my database and get all the characters. All right. So right now my database is just a JSON, right? It kind of looks like is an object. So let's go back, and Express has a functionality over here. This is going to be a response, so I need to go in my response and look at this one, rest.json. All right. So what it does is kind of takes your object and converts it into a JSON. And JSON is the way to go on the APIs when you are building your website. We saw in our projects also in previous exercises also a lot of the APIs are returning JSON. The other format, anybody else knows any other format that comes back other than JSON? XML. That's another very popular one. Well, kind of used to. So XML is another one, but kind of going down in popularity. Now JSON is the new cool thing, so everybody is using JSON, and that's how you'll be getting your data back. So we'll follow the same thing, and we are going to use this method called .json. Right, so I'm going to say my response.json, and then my characters objects. So array. So what this is going to do is going to take my array characters and it's going to convert it into a JSON. Right? I don't worry. I don't care how it does, what it does. I just know that this is going to convert it into a JSON. All right. Now I want this to go back, so I will say return this thing. So anybody who calls my API characters, I want my server to return a JSON file, a JSON object of everything in my database. Okay. Any questions on this one? All right, let's go ahead and run this and see. Yeah. Okay. So now my new code is running. You can do through the browser. I'm going to go back to my Postman, and I'm going to start using Postman now. So in Postman, you have a lot of options over here: get, post, put, all of these. These are all HTTP ones. Okay. So right now I have get, and I'm calling my local API that is hosted on my local, and I will say API / version 1 characters. Okay. I'm going to do a send. There you go. I get a I call my API characters, it goes to my database, gets all the rows, whatever, everything that is in my database gets it, and I get an array of all my characters. All right. Any questions? Anybody, those who are following this, any issues in getting to this point? Have we got to this point? Yeah. What was that? What's okay? What's the issue in Postman? So this is a different body. You don't have to mess around with any of these right now. We'll see what the body is used for. But right now, here, let me do this again. I'm going to close this. Okay. Clear all of this. So when I start my Postman, this is how I come up. all I'm doing is I just put in my localhost API v1 and I just click send. No changes, nothing. I have not done anything with any headers, body, nothing. Right? This is all being added from the Postman. I have not done any of these. Okay. Well, let's take a 15 minutes break, and 8 o'clock we'll come back. We'll start and look at the other APIs, the other two APIs. In the meanwhile, we'll go around and see if anybody is having issues and see what how we can resolve those. All right.
Yeah.
Just talk like I'm 10. Talk to me like I'm 10. Okay, talk to me like I'm 8. Not 10. Yeah. What's happening? Tell us posters.
Postman's like, it's just like a weird form of the web browser. So you can get the same, if you put that same concept like Postman just has to specify the number of posts.
So now we're just checking if everybody Let me go deeper. Why are we using Node in the first place?
There's plenty of other stuff that you use too. It's Python, you got to use C#. No, I think.
Yeah. So I just need my HTML,
It's more like your front end. GoDaddy is only the front end, what you're doing prior to Node. So it's not like having your back end really gives you the ability to process data, to hold data, to be secure with it. Holding that stuff on, like you still need a database, and then you're going to having to do something like Firebase, and what we're doing prior to this whole node part. So all that would still be considered front end stuff. And you need a lot of security. Yeah, you have GoDaddy install that for you. You use a lot of processing power. Can't do those.
Go ahead. Going deeper, I would have to buy my own physical.
No, you don't have to go that far yet. That's what we're going to get Heroku with. So Heroku can auto do that. Amazon Web Services auto does all that. That's where all that stuff, like post your physical hardware and all that. Yes, you can do your own physical hardware, but that's so
So I can use their cloud.
yeah. Just post on the cloud versus going out and buying $1,000.
Yeah. But you know, there's always lateral moves.
Either like, what we're doing, we're building the software. We're building the tool so that's what you're. Without Node, then you're stuck with on the Civic. I'm just thinking like on an accent. It's like that was a small mind up toy. Yeah, that's like the difference.
Each one of these routes, right?
Yes.
You could.
Yes.
I don't know.
I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
Oh, she only hopes so.
No, for sure I did.
I don't know.
Also, you don't want to do like this with
Yeah, what's been used to run your
Good luck with security. That's all. Yeah, you can touch security. Unfortunately, I know my company spends, like when we were redeveloping our APIs to do all this stuff like that. As you can see, like API can be real quick. But it took them almost 9 months to come out with an API structure that was secure. They worked on it for 9 months, and it's like, no, we have to go back, redesign. Come back, no, here's vulnerabilities. Go back, redesign. It was 9 months process. A senior developer, senior developer. So it's like, I'm scared of trying to get that part of it. Yeah, but really what you're hosting too.
Right. So, remember the syntax.
Yeah.
But if anyone does find it, I mean, there are machines out there that just, that's exactly what we do. Google search engine just goes out there and just pings everything and sees what it can find.
So I'm working on that.
Yeah. That's exactly what Google does. It crawls the internet looking for content and tags it and maps it all. So everything. The world.
What's different?
So this has to do with
I'm waiting for it. That is an entire job on its own, an entire. Over it, but even gets it, it's not long enough detail to actually Fast. User login. That's how you really can. Yeah.
While I'm doing
This is like 2-3 days.
Now you're back to old camp. I don't know if you ever watched The Voice, but like, I don't think you go one show next.
Really?
I swear to God, the two drones, facial drones, I know the problem that I have here is this doesn't bother me because it's almost done. I don't even notice it. When you do it over here, yeah, it's pretty nuts.
I was checking this out. Oh, okay. Yeah, I was looking over the syllabus and this is pretty cool. Oh, it's totally thinking about it. Is it now? You're not gonna insult. Oh, it's a dress. Hand it here. It's not gonna work. Yeah. You gotta make stuff. Yeah, I mean, that was like a really bunch of recorded videos for Steve. So.
Yeah. I would have gone.
Oh, yeah. That was a,
We'll see. I feel like it's because, you know, it's in facial hair and yeah. I have that too. I mean, obviously,
Yeah, everybody wanted to learn.
it's like older guys.
so, I like it short. That's where I make up for it.
Side right here. Yeah, I'm gonna start yeah, I don't know.
You know, it's like I
It's just fun now. Like everything's been working on is so boring. And I'm gonna be able to real nice mustache. So I was like 17. Yeah, that's right. And then legit, like shaved it off.
I do want to.
And I didn't know who he was. Well, it's like you put a wine test in there and start using that. It's like an so what are you doing? It's probably going to follow
That's how it starts.
Oh, that's a great makes sense. I see you're a dorm. Oh, did you post everything to your? I see you started to wear clothes. Are those shoes? Yes. Wow. I didn't know they get. Again, I'm bringing up my bags.
Great pair of pants you got on, man.
So you can't do the whole thing.
I was able to.
Yeah, you get up and you have to select.
Pull them into the button, get it out.
That's my job.
And before.
Oh, we won, you mean?
Anything in it. Two guys put some.
You're actually all right here.
He's doing this intro thing like we did for ours, and just kind of more in your class, so you know, it gets cold and it's kind of
You know how they were up there doing like a very interesting, they were just carrying something out.
Wow, the first one? It is a lot of money, but
It's like a week.
Well, 3 days.
Pretty classic. You're still here, so you're close.
And so how do you feel remaining with those, you know, as fun?
You have to take your domain name. That's right. So you're not choosing it from them, you're choosing it from the one. Internet search. Yeah.
if you do like go
Yeah, it's markup, sale price markup for you.
And then he carries it out.
Go back to your code. First you need to log on your
Yeah, there's 3 challenges.
Like I understand how to context the information. I don't know how to create items on the server.
Yeah, so you read SQL and you execute it the same way you would.
I was looking for mathematics. I figured you would learn something like that. Something like
I just copy paste the entire thing.
Oh, yeah, hey,
No, not really.
She can understand this.
Yeah. I don't know. So far it's been working.
I went to like top 5,000 codes. I remember like doing a lot of things in that one. So I thought maybe
She's what I call. You're looking for a SQL update.
She's good looking, but
And then what are
Like, what he's doing.
oh, wow.
Yeah.
Different flag.
I mean, don't get me wrong, she's still hot.
So like that sets it to a specific number, but how do you just? That's all.
It's still set to a specific.
Yeah, if you want to stop it, but if you're making more changes,
All right, let's get back to it. So next one we are going to look at the second R get request. This time we are going to pass in a ID and then get only single object back. All right. So just for let me stop my server first because I'm going to make some code changes. I'm going to keep this at the end. It will still work, but I will keep it at the end so that kind of stays out of my way. All right, the next one is going to be this one. See if there's app.get, right? Get. You have a path, callback function. Oh, that's fine. Let's see. Okay, so this is what we are going to do. Now we are going to create the same path using the get method and then follow the standards. Okay, so app.get, same thing, close it out. All right, the first is a route and then second is my callback function. What does my callback function takes? Request and response. Okay, now what is my routing URL going to look like? Same thing, so I'm going to go here, copy, oops, and paste this. Okay, now what was the other thing? Since I'm getting one, I need to pass in ID. All right, now how do you tell express colon and then name of the ID, whatever you want to put the name over here. So I'm getting a single character back, so I'm going to name it as character ID. Okay, you can name this anything. Now my character ID could be anything. It could be a number, it could be a string, but anything that uniquely identifies it. Right. So looking at my data, I'm jumping ahead. By looking at my data, the unique thing over here is my route name, and there's no spaces. I'm keeping it simple. Usually there's no spaces between the URL. It kind of freaks out. So that's why for simplicity that's why I put my route name as in without any spaces. So that's kind of unique for my data over here. My route name for Captain America is Captain America. This is different. This is different. It's kind of unique. So that's what I'm going to be using as my ID over here in my database when I'm getting a single character. Okay, I'm going to collapse this, come back here. Okay, but this is the colon variable, means you can pass in an ID over here, and that's the expectation. Now when you on your Postman, this is how these are differentiating. When in the Postman, when you do this link, it comes over here. In Postman, when you add something extra to this link, that's when this is going to come over here. All right, Express kind of smartly identifies it and knows which route to call. Okay, now what am I going to do over here? I need to look into my database, find that character with this ID and then return it. All right. Okay. Now, where is this ID going to come in from? Request. Excellent. So this is part of my request. So let's go back to the documentation. Look at our request. This is a request. Request.parameters or params. So I said, right, there are two parameters, request and response. Request is something that is coming to our API, and response is that something that we are sending it out. So right now I'm passing in when I call my API, my request is coming in, and this is how I find out what's coming in. What's my character ID? What's the ID that somebody is passing it back to me? Okay, so the correct way would be request, and then going back, it said params dot, and then whatever the name of the parameter is. What's the name over here? Character ID. Yep, exactly. So it has to match this thing over here. If you said character, put a character over there. If you said character, I don't know, character route name, character name, use the same variable over there. Okay. Now let me assign this to a variable. I will say character ID. Okay, and this is my character ID over here. Okay, again, request is something that is coming in, and anything that is in colon, that's kind of part of the parameters, and that's how Express has it. So to access that, you will say request dot params, and that's the keyword, stops over there. After that is whatever name you have given. So I have given character ID, that's why I said character ID. Okay, if you put anything else, it's going to send you an error. So let's before I do anything, let's do a console log to make sure that I'm getting this back, character ID, and my console logs are going to show up on my terminal. So I'm going to clear this, save, I'm going to run my server. Okay, then I'm going to go back to Postman, and in Postman either you can keep this, you can save these options also. At work, that's what I do. I have a lot of APIs saved so that I don't have to keep going and rewriting those. I click a plus sign. This is a new API, so I will put it over here. And then right now I'm not searching, so let's say I'm going to say Captain America. Okay, so since I have a character / I'm giving an ID, it's going to call my route that has that is expecting an ID. I'll do a console, I'll do a send. Nothing should come back because I'm not sending anything back. What should happen is it should output something over here. Since I did a console log on my server, so that's why I see the log over here. So it looks like it's working. I'm getting it back. Whatever I type in over there, it shows up over here. Okay. I don't have a return statement. That's why you see that it's like expecting a return. That's why it was like going through it. But this is how it is. I did a console log, and I know that my ID is coming back. I have what I'm looking for is coming back over here, and I can use this to search my database now. Okay. Any questions before we proceed? Yes. What was that? What was the question? So you in your terminal, did you do a console log? Okay, and it's running. Did you stop your server? Every time you make a code change, you have to stop your server and restart. Is that what you did? Running?
I missed the
Postman part? Okay. So in Postman, I created a new API, I created a new tab, I did a plus. I don't want to mess with this. And exact same URL. Instead, in the end, I'm passing an ID. I have Captain America. That's what whatever the route name is. Route name is my unique ID. What was that?
Okay, you just did this. Yours is working. You just don't have to log. What's the characters? We're talking about, we want to this one actually. That's nice.
So you want, on Postman it will say loading because we are not returning. If you look at the code, I'm not returning anything. But you should see the character ID on your console, on your Visual Studio console. Your Postman doesn't do anything. It keeps it's kind of like a spinning wheel. The reason is I'm not returning anything. So you won't see anything in Postman.
I get time for that.
Well, the thing is, it's not showing. I already turned off this. So right now, Saturday. Hold on. Alright.
Yeah. So here,
This is means that something is coming, the screen doesn't get. So over there, it should pop. So now,
Stop it and then stop it.
No, it's not working. It didn't work.
What does it say? Yeah, it won't. It will keep loading over here because you see I'm not returning anything. What I'm more concerned is my server logs show up. Right? Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Alright, yeah, Postman will say loading because I'm not returning. It's kind of expecting, but nothing is happening, so that's why it's good. But I don't worry about that right now. All I'm saying is I'm getting the right thing back and I'm console logging. That's all. Yes. Doesn't work? Okay, then there's some issue on the server side then.
Okay.
Let's see at the code.
I'm following you. Character ID is not
Oh, you're going to change we tried that soon as
Show me your post. That's the code you're using on? Just
put the date in lowercase.
yes.
So you're just responding. I'm getting here.
Yeah, I'm getting that.
Well, it should be confirmed first. Like if I run the server
Once it gets a request, then
Okay, no, that makes sense.
mine's different. I send it and I get a bunch of characters.
Oh.
So it is.
Yeah.
Oh, can you do it as characters? That's the truth. When I took the idea out of this, on the concept of law. So
This is your community.
So like when you go back, I mean, on
So in the
but now
So MySQL,
Yeah.
query the database itself. So that's what your backend is. All of your operating units. Now this is how we'll front end. So it's all so that's all we're doing, is focusing on communication. That's it. Between you guys. That's all we're doing. Right, yeah. We're just focusing on
So, well, there you go.
It says to work on phrase.
Yeah. Are you the homework grading this week with the three steps, with the three challenges? It has three challenges.
You only get one.
Which homework is this one? My CV? It's mostly Node. Node is evidence.
Oh, the challenge you know, if you do that,
All right. All right. Let's do the next one. Oh, this one. Okay. Now, did anybody try to get the exact one out of it from the object JSON? So this is just logging it, right? So, but I do want to get it out. The whatever is passed in, I want to go and search my characters database and find the route name. Okay. If you didn't, let's see how do we do it. It's a simple. We can loop through it and find the exact one quickly, right? Let's see, for let index blah blah blah. I'm going to make it I. Okay. Characters. So I'm doing a quick. I'm just looping through each of my character array and I'm trying to match. I'm going to match it with my the input that is coming in over here, character ID. Okay, so I'm going to compare them and see which one If it matches, I'm going to return that. If not, then I'm going to return a error condition or something. So I want my character ID, okay, which is on line number 38, is equal to, I'm going to I'm looping this array, so I'm saying characters. I go through each one dot route name. Okay, so what is I said my unique character ID is my route name. Alright, that's what I'm saying. So I'm saying whatever ID I come back with, I'm going to search my database, I'm going to loop through each one, and then I'm going to find if this matches this one. If it does, then I'm going to return my I'm going to convert it using the JSON function of the response method, alright, just as the previous one. And I'm going to say characters I'm going to convert this into a JSON object and return this. Okay, and let's suppose I loop through the whole thing. I was not able to find. If I'm able to find, it's going to come over here, it's going to return, and my function is done. It's going to end. It's never going to come back to line number 14. The only reason it's going to come back to line 48 is when it's not able to find anything in that loop. So I'm going to say return rest.json. You can say anything. You can put an error message. You can say false, any boolean or something that will tell you that nothing came back. For now, I'll keep it simple. I will say false. Okay, one more time. So the important part was line number 38. All right, the line 42 is again from previous lessons. I'm looping through my object array, and I'm trying to find the route name that matches it. If I find it, I just return the whole object, right, from my array. Again, whenever I'm passing an ID, I am going to return a single row, single record, single object. All right, whatever you want to call it. Yes.
So is this, since we're running an API here, is this technically like a search query? Like
Yes.
Searching for.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. This is kind of search query. Yeah. It's searching for that character in your database. Yeah. And you are actually writing the API. All right.
Is that what you do?
That's what I.
So
Yes.
you have to do all that stuff.
Yep. If you have to create the routes, set up those routes. Depending on your database, unfortunately, my database doesn't have just one table; it has many tables. So, complex query running, a few more analytics. No, I'm doing in Java. So Java has their own thing, Spring Boot, and all those kind of libraries. So that's what we use. Something called JDBC to make a connection with the database. Kind of similar concept, just the code is different. Yeah. Okay. Any questions on this route? If everything is good, this should run, log the ID, and then you should get a response back in your Postman. So let's try that. My server is running. I go back here and I do a send, same link, same URL, and it comes back. Okay. Now put in a route that doesn't exist and see what happens. It should return you false because that's what I put. So if I say Captain America 1, come back and say false. It doesn't exist. All right. You might want to put more descriptive messages when you are actually coding it, but this is how it is. All right. So I'm getting a single record back. When I go back to my previous one, when I run this, I'm getting multiple. Okay, an array. Again, characters, plural noun, should always return an array. When you pass an ID, it should return a single record. Right? Kind of makes sense too. If you're passing an ID, you cannot have more than single record coming back because an ID uniquely identifies that. All right? Okay, the last one. Everybody good with it? Last one, you're going to do an insert in our database. All right? Everybody good? Who said no? Who said no? Okay.
Yeah, when I went to run it again, it was running before, and I think that there was no server this, and then I got this character ID is not defined. So
Okay. Just see if there's a typo. Params, P-A-R-A-M-S. Cody, you were able to run it?
Maybe.
Well, maybe it should run.
Maybe.
It's probably your return. You sent it.
Which one is
On your second return. So you have your first return, it's not on the second return.
Oh.
So it hit that, it causes minor crash.
Mine's working out.
This one.
Can you go to your code real quick?
Yeah. Is now everybody is running? Maybe. Good.
Every hero is false.
What is it?
Every hero is false.
Every hero is false?
Yeah.
You don't have any hero in your database?
I typed every man and it's so evil.
So again, how are you typing? This is my database and it's all lowercase. This is my ID. This is my ID, Captain America. Iron Man is this is my ID. Is that how you type? Let's find out. Iron Man. It works. Did you stop your server and restart? Again, guys, if you make a change to your server code, you have to stop and restart it.
False idols.
This should be turned out, but instead it's continuing on the code.
Just kidding.
See if it goes
On the terminal? I'm laughing because that was like. I had typed.
That's hilarious, yeah.
It's an array.
That's a complete blur.
much like that.
This is the array comparison.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense.
All right?
At the quality of it.
Yeah. Okay? No? Are you sure?
I already know it's something like that. Yeah, that's nothing. So I'm just saying. So I'm just typing in what
So, there's something wrong with it. What's wrong? Oh my gosh.
All I can say is go slow.
Oh, so you're saying we're just
All that.
You were happy. You're fine with it.
be able to know what character idea.
It should be lower.
So where does character ID exist? What is character ID?
Is that just the
Well, character ID,
You know, why would character ID is the request what happens?
We didn't
I
do
think
any
character ID.
Yeah, so if we look at right?
Yeah,
So
see how you're
so it's not like it's looking for some
kind of
ID is a naming convention.
yeah. Okay.
I'll just talk about
All right, guys. Last one.
yeah.
It took a little longer than I expected. All right. So we're going to do an insert, and then I'm going to do a lot of copy pasting for the front end. I'm not going to write the HTML. I hate that. So, okay. So now we are going to look at the post one. This is probably a little bit more complex because gets are probably the easiest one. Then post a little bit trickier. Delete is kind of similar to get, but we won't get to it. But post is the next one. So post is different because what are we doing over here in get is we are passing all our data over here in the URL basically, right? I'm passing my ID when I call. I pass in a unique ID in my URL and I'm done. Post, when you're inserting, you have a lot more data to pass in. Okay, what am I doing over here? Inserting. I want to insert a whole object in my database, which is this. All right, if I want to insert, I'm going to insert this whole object, right? So there you can see there's a lot more data. So post, you have to pass in a data inside what we call body, and we'll see how we do it. Okay, that's the biggest difference. In get, you pass the data, which is just one field in your URL, character ID, Captain America, Iron Man, blah blah blah, everything is here and you're done. Post or insert, you do not pass anything in the URL. URL stops over here, and then there's a special section called body, and there's where all your data goes. Okay, now let's go ahead and see how that works. So Express has a nice function for post. Any guesses what's it called? Post. Nice. It's called post. App.post. Awesome. See how easy it is? You already are ahead of it. So my post is going to be my URL again, and then a callback function. So let's define that before we do anything else. Same thing, request, response. All of them are same. Okay, done. URL, again, very easy. I go back and I see I'm following the naming convention, so I don't have to worry about creating anything new. According to my naming convention, it is /API/v1/characters. See, I don't have to think too much now about naming my APIs. Like characters, done. Everything is characters. All right, get, post, delete. Huh? No, it does matter, but you don't have to do it right now. Because I don't have, you see my get over here? Oops, not this one. Yeah, this one. Characters and get and stops over here. It returns you everything. Slash means it's going to expect something is coming after or something, but my URL stops over here. Same for post. Post and get without the ID are exactly the same. The only difference is you are saying post. That's how your API differentiates between these two. If I take this post and get out of it, right, just by looking at it, you wouldn't know. And that's kind of argument when people say, hey, I don't know what it means, so I'm going to say get characters and insert characters or post characters. No, this is what is defining. So it's kind of redundant. If you add a get over here and a post, you are already defining it over here, so it's kind of redundant. You shouldn't have to say get characters or post or insert or delete anything. All right, keep it simple. One URL name, don't have to worry about creating new ones. All right, that's it. So now post. Now what I need to do, I'm going to go ahead and insert. Insert is not as important. The important part over here is how to extract the data out of this URL. Okay, so for get, when we were passing in the ID, what did we do? We did a request.params, right? So params stand for parameters, and anything after this in the URL is called a query string or a parameter. All right. Similar thing, I said that if you're using post, it comes in the body. So request dot body. That's it. for if you're passing anything in the URL, comes in the params. If you're passing anything in the body, it comes in dot body. All right. So I'm going to create a variable here, and I'm going to say new character. Okay. Now my whatever this comes in, and what would be in this request.body? Just by looking at it, what am I expecting? What am I looking for? A JSON file, yeah, and then basically an object that resembles this. Okay, it's going to be a JSON which is going to be like this. That's what I'm expecting. That's what my body is going to have. Okay, so let's go back here, request.body, and then I can just do a. Right now it's my array characters. I can just do a push and insert the whole thing inside my in-memory array. Okay. Before I do that, let's do a console log and make sure that we are getting what we are expecting. Okay. Nothing is happening right now. No insertion. I'm just doing a console log. So I'm going to run my Node.js. Okay, now guys, look at the get one, right? This is my response back, right? What am I inserting? I'm inserting the exact same thing. Okay, a JSON object. So I'm going to create a new URL here. Same thing. Localhost 3000 /API /v1 /characters. Very important. I'm going to click this drop down and change it to post because now I am doing a post. Okay. You guys must have noticed when it was get, this body was disabled. This tab over here. When I do a post, it becomes enabled because post you expect to pass in something in the body. So I click body over here. I'm going to click raw. Click raw over here so you can type the whole JSON. So I click raw. Kind of shows up a white screen like an editor. Over here you have to pass in a JSON. It has to be valid JSON. Oops, fail. Go back here, copy this. What is my, looking at my object, oh, come on, what am I doing wrong? I don't want to type this whole thing. Oh, there it is. Okay, so this is what I'm passing in. It's a JSON file, huh? It's a JSON object. Again, make sure the JSON has these quotes. You cannot just do route name and it's not going to work. Okay, it has to be valid. So this is a valid JSON. Now I'm going to add a new character here. Go ahead and add a new character. Route name, I don't want spaces. So I'm going to put a without spaces. Okay. I'm going to add a new character. Go ahead and add a new character. Okay. Now when I click send, what is going to happen? It's going to do a console log on my server. Again, I'm not outputting anything. I'm not inserting anything right now. So I should see something on my. I'm just trying to make sure I'm getting everything back correctly. Okay. So I do this. It says undefined. So something is not working. So we'll have to debug and try to figure out what are we missing over here. No, that's later on. Right now, I'm just getting, and I'm trying to make sure that my body has that character. So you guys go ahead and try and see if it is working. I'm going to refer to the documentation, make sure I got everything right. Request.
I got the same error as you.
Request.body. Okay. Request.body. Yeah, looks like I got that right. Okay, let me go back and check my route. So my route is correct because it's coming over here. Request.body. Everybody getting undefined? Okay, let's do one thing. I'm going to console log. Well, it's the same thing.
If we entered it as raw, is it automatically going to recognize it as JSON?
Oh, you're right. So I have to convert it into this thing. You're right. Yeah, that's probably the reason. Yes. Excellent. Is that working? Okay. So in Postman, it's not an issue in our code. It's just the way we are calling. Let me run this again. I think that's the issue. So in Postman, over here I selected raw and then text. Just make sure you select JSON so that it kind of recognizes it and sends a JSON response. Let's see if that was the issue. I'm hoping that was it. Still undefined? Okay. Well, at least something should come up in the body, and then we have to worry about what's happening. Let's see if I have the route right. App.post. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Oh, okay. Let's look at this over here. I'm looking at the request.body. Looks like we have to add few things over here. Okay. So this is why the documentation is kind of helpful. Seems like we're missing like a couple of things over here, 2 lines. So it says body.parser, body parser.json, and then body parser.url encoded extended true. Looks like when you're doing a post, these two are kind of requirement so that, you know, whatever thing that you're getting back, it kind of converts into a JSON. Let's try that and I'll explain what this is, if this is the issue. So so it says body parser. What is body parser over here? Actually Express itself also has these things, so let's do this. These are called, it's just called middleware. Okay, let's go ahead and see if this helps. So I'm going to define app.use somewhere on the top. So I'm going to say app.use. Okay, it's a function, close it. And then documentation is saying, say, whatever variable name .json. So I'm going to use my variable name express, which I declared on line number 1, JSON. Okay, that's one thing. And the first was app.use express dot URL encoded extended true. Okay, express dot URL encoded, and looks like I'm going to finish this. It's a function, and in the function they're passing an object called extended true. Okay, so I'm going to say extended, it's an object, extended true. Okay, let's see if this works. Okay. There you go. That was the issue. So now I can do it. Again, always go back to your documentation and see. So how did I get over here? It wasn't working. I went back to the documentation. I'll show you the code again. I went over here. It's a request, right? So they have divided these into sections. I go into request, and then I was using request.body. So I click request.body. Looks like they're saying that when you're doing a post, you need to add these two. these are called middleware. These functions lie between your request from the web page, right now it's Postman, and your route. So in between, they do some manipulation, make sure that whatever you're passing in is kind of easy to use before it hits your route. So again, this is defined by Express. Again, make sure when you're doing a post request, these make sure these are included. All right, now let's go back to my code. I added these two. Same thing, copy paste, copy it from there. Over here, my variable is called express, and that's what I'm using over here. I do a console log, and here's my route information. Okay? Yes?
Body parts are something different.
Yeah, they're using a different library called body parser, but the concept is still the same thing. Instead of using a third-party body parser, I'm just Express itself has it, so I'm just using the Express one over here. Express has built-in same thing, but I'm just using the Express one. Yeah. Huh?
We did no spaces in that JSON object in Postman. What if you want spaces? Like what if you have multiple?
Over here.
Name, spaces, yeah.
Spaces. What do you mean spaces?
Percentage point is what you need in the
No, like how you said no spaces. No
Oh no,
spaces.
you can add space.
Oh,
Add a
okay.
space. Yeah, it's a string. It's a string. You can add
I
space.
thought, okay.
Oh no, you can add space.
So the route name.
Yeah, the route name is the one that I don't want to add space because that's my ID. But over here, yeah, you can add help space, Bruce banner or anything. It's fine. Yeah, that should work. Okay. Yes. There's no stupid questions. Did you say stupid question?
No, I didn't say that.
Oh. Did I assume that you were going to say that? Silly.
So
Yeah.
we would usually use this in MySQL.
Yes.
But right now we're just functional.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that's not the important part of this one. Right now, the important is how do you call these API? How do you build those APIs? But yeah, in actuality, when you add this, instead of searching through, you will connect to MySQL, write a query, the result will come back, and then you will exactly do the same thing and return it. Yeah. That's taking a step further. Yeah. Yep. Good question. The question was, in real life, what happens is you will connect it to your MySQL. Instead of inserting in the memory, you will be doing exact same thing, request.body, and then writing some SQL query to insert that into your actual database. Right now, my database is this in-memory object over here on the top. But the more important concept is how do you write this API, how do you get the data back this way, and the two middleware functions. All right. So this is good. Now we are going to go ahead and insert it. Insert is simply just a push. So just do a characters dot push, and this should insert it over there. So characters array dot push, and then new character. I'm going to close this. Okay. And usually what happens is when you do a post, you insert it, right? You want the user or whoever is calling API to know that it was successful or did it fail, right? The good practice is if it is successful, either you can return a message saying successfully inserted into the database, or you can return true, or you can actually return the whole row that just got inserted. That's kind of indication that, you know, I just inserted this in my database. So I'm going to just do a rest.json new character, convert this new character that came in as a JSON, and then just do a return. Again, this is just for identification that I was successfully able to insert it. Right now, it will never kind of fail because you are doing an in-memory push. So it's simple. I just return the record. But usually what you will do is you will do SQL insert, and whatever comes back, you will send it back to your calling API. Okay? So stop your server, run it, and it should it should run this. So before running it, what I'm going to do, I'm going to run my characters so that I can see I have 3. Then I'm going to run my post, which is going to insert this. Okay, and I'm going to get a response back. Okay, response is at in the bottom, which shows me the object inserted, so it's all good. And then I'm going to go back to my first API and then rerun it, and this should give me 4 results now. Okay, 4 results is there. Again, now if I stop my server and then refresh it, everything is gone, because I said this was what I was. It's kind of in memory because I'm using an array. It's only valid for this session of my server. As soon as I stop it, connection breaks, everything is gone, and I won't be able to see anything. Okay. But with more persistent MySQL, you will always have that data over there. Okay, it's just a simulation right now. Any questions? Okay, so post insert. And let's look at the code. Okay. All right, so this is the conclusion. This is how we write our APIs. The next half hour, our target is to write a HTML page. I'm not going to write it. I'm just going to copy paste it. All right. And then, but I'm going to write the JavaScript. Now this is our backend right now, right? In the front end, we need a API with a HTML. And then our HTML is going to call our APIs, right? That's what we see in our project from our HTML. We call our APIs through jQuery, right? We write some jQuery code. Somebody says, hey, click search, and then you call $.ajax. You call the API, right? That's how you do the AJAX call. So in our case, our AJAX call is to our APIs, which are / blah blah blah, local / blah blah blah. That's what we're going to do. Okay, let's see how do we do that. So before, I'm going to look at some HTML, and we're going to kind of update that HTML. Okay, let's see. Okay. So I'm going to stop my server. Let's see how fast we can get through this one. My view.html. Okay, and then I'm going to simply so from the exercise that's on GitLab. So I copied the HTML. It looks same thing that we saw the final app. I'm going to update this a bit. Say Avengers. Okay. Okay, just get the H1s, blah blah blah, character search, it's fine. Final. I think it's called final. Final, yeah.
Number 14.
Oh,
Number 14, yeah. Let's see, they already have something over here. We can update this. GitLab, git space code. Hold down. Git space code space dot. It opens up. No, I'm not going to cite this one. Now you guys need to go and search this one. Alright, we'll post it. What? Yeah. Please, somebody go ahead and Slack this out. I would totally do that too. I would be like, hey, can you copy paste this on Slack? I just want to copy it. What was that? Get amazing. All right, so I have this HTML page. I'm not going to go through this all this. I'm going to just run it and see shows up nicely or not. Okay, that's okay. All right. All right, that's good. I'm going to stop this, and now what am I going to do is I'm going to create a JavaScript file, and from that file we are going to make our AJAX calls. Okay. The code is at the bottom. I'm trying to do it the proper way. Let's see. Source.js. Okay, let's do this. I don't have time, but my OCD won't let me just put my JavaScript over here. Need to get rid of this. All right, so I'm going to cut this out. This looks good. Instead of this, I'm going to say my source, and then src. Okay, and my src to paste my JavaScript over here. Okay. Let's see what are they saying. Character search. Okay. All right. So simply added a view.html. All right. Copy pasted. The page looks like some bootstrap code. All right. The next is the more important is the source.js. All right. Let's go through this one. Kind of be a revision. So the first line says when I click my search button on my UI, right? Event search button dot on when somebody clicks it, right? When I click it, my hash character search, that's my text field name. All right, let me run this so that you guys can see this. Okay, so this button over here, search your feelings. This button over here, this is in my HTML. This is called character search. Okay. Oh, not the button, the text. Sorry, go back here. This box over here. This button is called search button. When you click this button, this text you will type in something. Okay, and in my JavaScript, I'm using jQuery. I use jQuery, get that value back. Okay. .val.trim. Line number 2, still same thing that we have looked in previous weeks. All right. So my variable, this holds the character that I'm searching. Forget about the replace this part. We don't have to worry about everything. We are going to do is lowercase, exactly the same to make our API simple right now. Okay. This is the more important part. Okay, now how do I make that AJAX call in jQuery? It was $.get, right? Kind of, you guys remember that?
Vaguely.
Vaguely, yeah, that's not good. Okay, so again, if go back and revise some of the concepts, this is how you do it. You say $.get, and then you put in the API name. Now our API name, this is our route. But this is not exactly ours, so I'm going to change this, and we have v1, right? v1 characters, search character. Yep, that's correct. Okay. So I put in my route. Now my API exists. My backend and my frontend both are on the same location, so that's why I don't have to put in some extra stuff. I just say go to this API and then do this. Okay. There is add also, so go ahead and copy the add HTML page also, and then we can that should finish our app. Let me see.
Change force points to string points.
Yeah, but these are all from the, oh yeah, this data, yeah. Thank you. So you need to change this because my data is kind of different now. Okay. So name, do I still have name? I'm already forgetting what I have.
Yes, you have name, role, age. It's just
Okay.
first points and you change that.
Thank you. Name, role, age, and this too?
You don't need to change that one because that's your HTML.
Oh yeah, sorry, this one.
Just the data doc.
What is it? What did I call it? Strength. Thank you. Okay, so whatever we have, we match it. Yep, excellent. And this should do it. All right. So let's go ahead and add add.html. I'm going to do the same thing. Create a page. Copy paste the code of HTML. Okay, my HTML is there. I'm going to pick out my JavaScript though from here. I need this. Okay. Source. And then source.js. Formatted. All looks good. Now this was the code for when I click the button. This is the code when I do a add. So let's go ahead and format, make sure everything looks good. Okay. Now when I click the add button, what am I doing? I'm doing the post now. Okay. I get my characters. Everything looks good. You get a new object. Name, role, age, force points. I'm going to change this to strength points. Okay. This is called API/v1. Characters, new characters. Same thing I did a get. This time I'm doing a post. Call my API characters, pass in my character. If this is complete, this is what's going to happen. Okay. Again, this is simply using jQuery. Any questions on the jQuery part? Okay. So now I have a front end. I have a back end. Let's make sure. I want to see if there's anything missing on the server part. Yeah, there is something. Okay. So now I have my view HTML. This is the view HTML that I want when somebody goes to my website. Right now what happens is when I type in localhost on my browser, this is the message that I get. Welcome to Avengers page. I don't want that. I want my view HTML, nice HTML, to show up when somebody comes to this route. All right. So I'm going to change this. So this has a method called send file. Okay, and in this you can send your file, which is view.html. Okay, now this is okay. This is not correct, but what my intention over here is my view.html should go up and display anytime when somebody comes to my website. All right. So right now it's going to be localhost 3000 / and my view.html should show up. The problem over here is when you host your website somewhere, it doesn't know the exact path of your view.html. Okay. It's going to be running on your cloud. They have a different space and everything. So what we do is we kind of have to specify what the path is. For that, there's a Node.js library called path. So let's go ahead and install that. Require is called path. And we'll see what functions come with path. Alright, you guys can look at the documentation. Since I have this, I need to update my package.json file too. So I'm going to go ahead, save this, go to my terminal. Okay, and I'm going to do a npm install path save exact. Okay, and this should go ahead, install it, and also add it to my package.json file. Just to make sure, go here, path is there.
The save exact works without the minus save also.
Okay, all right, so you can just do minus save dash exact. All right, so I did that, my path got installed. Now I'm going to write the functions. Okay, so there's a variable in Node.js called __dir name. Oh, it came up. So if you type this in, the value would be the current directory of your wherever your files are. Right now my files are in C, desktop, whatever. That's what the directory name is. Or you can do a console log dir name is going to always, this comes part of Node.js. Okay, so what we want to do is the library that we installed called path. I'm going to remove this so that it doesn't create more confusion. Path.join method. Okay, so what we are trying to do is I'm trying to send a file which is my view.html, which is located somewhere over here. And when I host my code somewhere, the directory is going to change, right? Do you guys understand that concept? When I put it somewhere on the cloud, they have their own directory structure, which I don't know. But my __dir name will dynamically get that directory name for me, wherever it is. It doesn't matter. Okay, so what join method will do is it will join these two. So join method says find the dir name, which is right now /sdk/desktop/ my Avengers folder, and then add view.html to it. So in the end, I will have a path where my view.html exists. Okay. And then I have the other file called add, right? Add.html. I could do the same thing with add also. I will say app.get. I will create a new route. And this route is, let me add this function, request response. Okay, same thing, no changes over here. All right. My new route is called /add. So anybody who types in my website called localhost 3000/add, I want my add.html page to show up. Since I'm showing a page, same concept, rest.send file. Okay, close parentheses. I'm going to use the path function, path.join. Okay, function. Same thing from above, dir name, and then add.html. So this is how you show your now you see initially I was saying how the server controls. When you type in www.google.com, it goes to a server and then finds that route and sends you that web page. Okay, this is what we are doing. Somebody hits my server, and if somebody types in www.localhost/add, this is what I want them to see. I want them to see my add.html file, which looks like this. Okay, this is what I want them to see. Okay.
Just don't ask if it's a 5 right now. Be all right.
Okay. So is this the last part that is kind of getting muddy?
It's just a lot. It's just a lot.
Okay. Again, what I do in this last 15-20 minutes was I created a HTML files, view and add. Is that okay? Right? Simple HTML file, bootstrap, nothing else. Okay. Now, I have my APIs that are hosted on my server. Now from my UI, I want to call them. And I need to use jQuery to call them. And how do I use jQuery? I use the AJAX function. And that's what I did in my source.js. I'm using some AJAX functions over here, $.get and $.post, to call my APIs. Okay. Again, this is the UI part. This is not the UI part. On the back end, I already have my APIs. Now, on my APIs, I want them to send this HTML page. And this I understand is kind of confusing. Is I think if you run it your local host, it will still work. The only way it's not going to work is when you host it somewhere. So that's why we need to get that path where your file actually exists. And that's called the absolute path, if you guys remember that. So to get that path, there's a library called path, and this is how you use it. So you say __ dir name. This is part of Node.js. It exists always. You don't need anything extra. You can do a console log and see what it outputs. It's going to output your absolute path. So you are saying go to c blah 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 / view.html and show that page. Okay. Now what we can do is, if this is all good, I kind of suspect. Let's. I want to go ahead and run this. Okay, my server is running. Now, since this is going to return me a web page, right? I'm going to do a localhost 3000 / let's see, start with the /. Okay, there you go. So when I do a /, what was I showing? I was showing my view.html, right? And this is what I see. Okay, if I do a /add, it should show me my add page. Okay. So now you stop your server, and when you run this, it will show it doesn't exist or something, some error. The web page doesn't exist because my server is not running. So this shows that my server is running and I can process those web pages. Okay. So in the same file, I have my APIs running and also my web pages. And this is how, in real life, this is how the server is run. You call a server and request a web page such as view HTML, add HTML. They have routes defined, and they will render or they will send you files, and that's how you see the web page. All right. The next part, we have to deploy it, but I don't think I have time for that. But I'll give you a high overview. I didn't do it personally, and the reason I didn't do it because I wanted to try it out with you guys, so that if there's any issues, we can walk through it. So for hosting those websites, we saw one mechanism earlier. What was that? When we wanted to host our websites. GitHub pages, yes. But GitHub pages will not work over here. And any idea, reason? Its own server. GitHub cannot run Node. What was your? Okay. Exactly. GitHub can only run static pages, your HTML and CSS and all that. GitHub does not have the capability to run your Node.js. That's why we need some other cloud hosting service. So the free one that we are looking at is called Heroku. It's very popular. If you have your short projects, highly recommended. All right. So I have signed up for it. I would suggest. I don't think I can deploy this whole in like 8 minutes, even if I want to. Let's do it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. All right, so what? So, so we'll walk through some. They have a really good documentation. I kind of looked over it. It's kind of seemed like easy. Seems like quick deployment. So over here it says, okay, go ahead and choose your deployment. This is going to be a Node.js app. So I'm going to go ahead and select Node.js. Look at the documentation. All right, I am ready to start. Download the installer. I already did this part. You can go ahead, install, download it, and the quick way to verify this is, of course, go to your command prompt, type in Heroku, and it shows up this help and blah 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 blah. So this means I have installed it, everything looks good. Okay, so the next thing it says, once you have installed, log in to your Heroku. So I'm going to go ahead and do login. Let's see. Yep. Okay. Email. Yes. Password. Admin123. Oh. Okay. So if you are successfully logged in, this is what it shows up. Let me make it a little bigger. Alright, so this step is done. Okay, I have installed Heroku CLI, command line interface. Okay, next thing they're saying clone your repo. We have already done it. The only thing I have not done is I haven't pushed it. So, okay. Oops. Yes, I want everything to be committed to my master. It's going, and gone. Let's make sure I have my code here. Everything looks good. You guys see there's no node underscore modules folder. The reason is I use the git ignore file, if you guys remember that. All right, looks good. So let's go back to our documentation and see what's the next step. So git clone, this. I've already done. We don't have to do it because we already cloned it. We already put it on GitHub. So this is all good. I just need to push it now. Alright, so it says create an app on Heroku which prepares Heroku to receive your source code. Heroku create. Let's try that. Oh, okay. Still Cove 35006. What is that? Okay, when you create a blah blah blah, this is good. Oh, it generates a random name for your app. So my Avengers awesome app is called stillcove35506.com. Oh, .heroku.app.com. Okay. Now we have to deploy our code. Git push Heroku master. All right, let's try that. Git Heroku push master. Oh no. Sorry. Git push Heroku master. Oh, because I'm not in the directory, my bad. cd stop cd Avengers. Okay. Oh no. Okay. Git push Heroku master. No. What is it? Git push Heroku master. Okay. Let's try that again. Oh, that's the issue. So I created I created in a different folder. Okay, that was the issue. So let me go back. I have to be inside this Avengers and then do a create. Let's try that. Okay, now it's called sleepycliffs-91569.heroku.app. Awesome. Yeah, that's better actually. So I'm glad I didn't do it. All right, this should work if Heroku Bushmaster. Yes. All right. So looks like everything is going and now pushing into Heroku. So this one too, I'm pretty sure a lot of people are aware. Heroku is your cloud hosting platform. The free version includes basic things. You guys can look at the pricing information, but Heroku is your cloud platform. So anything you're pushing is going into cloud, and that's where it's going to be hosted. It kind of comes with a database also. It has you can create a database. I think they're allowing 10,000 rows in their database for the free version, and they have a limit on the request. And you can deploy 5 apps on Heroku free. After the 6th one, you have to enter your credit card information. Apparently, they don't charge, but they still need your credit card information. I have no idea why, but they are saying they don't charge your credit card. It's still free, but they still need your credit card information. I don't know. If you have more than 5, delete your 5th one and deploy this one. All right. That's what I would say. Anyway, read the documentation before signing up, or you are taking your app to the next level. Just make sure you read whatever description they have. So this is looks like it's deployed. Anybody access my app and see if they can access it? Let's refresh this. I want to delete this at some point. Okay. So to ensure it is running, Heroku PS scale. Let's ensure that space PS scale web 1. Scale web is equal to 1. Okay, looks like it is running. If I do Heroku open, it will open my app. Heroku. Oh, I know what I mean. It's not going to run. Damn, that's what I forgot. No worries. Let's see if I can quickly fix it. So in my package.json, if you guys remember, my starting point was index.html. It doesn't exist. It should be server.js. Bug fix. Okay. Okay. Now the only thing is I do not know how to refresh it. I'm pretty sure this is not going to work. I need to redeploy my code on Heroku. Git push, I already did that, so it's on my GitHub. Maybe do this again. Git push Heroku master. Yeah, that's what I want to do. I want to override the code that already exists on Heroku. So let's see if this works. Again, I have not tried it. I haven't. Then I wanted to do with you guys so that we can see what issues we face. Okay, it looks like it's running. So I should be able to just refresh this and it should show up. Let's see. Oh, actually, should it be server.js as my starting point? Check your logs for details. Yes, I want to see my logs. Oh, okay. Build succeeded. npm start node server.js assemble. Okay, my code is running. What happened? Okay, you see, my server starts and then something happens. Web failed to bind.
Try opening it through the browser again.
Through what?
Rather than refreshing it, try opening it through the browser.
Oh, so, but it already failed, right? Is it going to open? Yeah, the app already kind of crashed. So the
State change from starting.
right. So something. So it started and then something happened. Web process bind 60 seconds of. Oh, I know. It's the port number that's causing this. Yeah. What was the? I saw this. I have to do a environment.process or something. You guys remember that? Yes. Do you know the code? I can't remember it. Oh, really close. So it's going to be environment.process. Process.environment.
Yeah.
Process.env.port. This thing, right?
Two verticals.
Two verticals. But it's a constant. Let me change it to let just in case it starts complaining that I cannot assign. Huh?
You said the port number needs to be 8,000 first?
8,000? No, you can put anything. Anything greater than 80. Let's go ahead and push this port. Okay, looks like it's running. Yes! So that is how you deploy your app. And 5 minutes over and you still succeeded. Alright, on Thursday you guys are going to do, I'm going to sit and relax over here, you guys are going to do the same thing. Alright?
So you can send a link to anyone who would work.
Yes. So if you go to Sleepy Cliffs, let me slag this out today.
Did it assign that to you?
Yeah, so it's free. So I guess they control somebody.
Yeah. So they go, right, they probably go come up with some pretty cool. Yeah, they
For some reason, my computer seems offline. I don't know why is that. Okay, so somebody click the link on Slack and see if it accesses. cbcliffs.heroku.com. Yes. Alright, so Thursday you guys will be doing a couple of apps. I think one app. I'll see you guys on Thursday. No?
That's the fun part.
You guys get to write the APIs.
This one is
We'll see, maybe I'll
this
just
era.
send you one.
Uh-huh.